that you're here, not playing pinball. Is who isn't able to speak English? English, are you English or not? Nederlands, jullie spreken Nederlands. Goed, dames en heren, we doen het heel kort, een beetje in het Nederlands, een beetje in het Engels, is goed. We hebben een aantal seminars. En de eerste, of de tweede eigenlijk, ik kom net binnen, die is al heel bijzonder. We have the whole day we have a lot of seminars. Special people from out of the pinball world are going to tell us a lot of stories, a lot of secrets, a lot of other things. We gaan gewoon praten over flipkasten. Our first guest, we are really happy. I think he's a member for 15 years already. And he's now working in the industry for what kind? You're working for Jersey?
4 years.
4 years for come inside. You're not too late. Really good. He's working for 4 years in the industry. He's a pinball fan for I think nearly 20 years.
40 years.
For 40 years. And his master is also there. It's Greg Ferres. He will come in half an hour. May I introduce you to Jean-Paul?
Ja, dankjewel. Ben ik goed verstaanbaar? Het is even de eerste keer dat ik dit zo doe, dus apart. Leuk. So I'm going to do this in English. I see some English guests. We got 2 American guests. I see Martin from the UK. There's Canadian people. That's great. Thank you. I'm going to talk about my last 3 projects and my seminar. So it's called The Pinball Art in the Digital Age. I'm going to talk about the Big Lebowski, the Hobbit, and Timeshock. So the reason why I chose this title for the presentation is that there was this thread on Pinside about everything has changed and progressed except the artwork. And one of the comments was, I agree, Photoshop is not art. And well, I think this guy is right, because Photoshop is not art, it's a program. So what he probably meant is Photoshop art is not art, but I want to show the programs I use. It's a tool, so just like painters use a brush, I use the computer to produce art. I'm not a good illustrator myself, but yeah, I use the programs to create the stuff I want. So first off, there is a little project I realized I could go back into print stuff, because I was doing animations for 10 years for a television company. And 4 years ago, I was invited by Steven, neighbor, 3 roads. He lives a few blocks from me, and he wanted to show this P-Rock project, and he was working on the Road Kings. And the back glass has the old alphanumeric display in it, and they needed to convert it to a DMD back glass. So I helped him photograph the back glass and photoshopped it to the new back glass with the DMD. So you have to fill in the spots which aren't there in the original art. So that's a little introduction when I also realized, okay, I can do this and work more with Photoshop. And then Big Lebowski came up, the guys from Dutch Pinball. And I expressed my interest in the project. I said I want to be part of a project, just do the art, because I was only doing animations for Jack and Jersey Jack Pinball. I wanted to try and make this project work as well in art. So this is your canvas. You start with an empty game and an empty play field. This is the layout. How we're going to fill this up. This is how you start. And so you want to extract original things from the movie, use it in your artwork. And so the only image we had of the rug was this cropped frame. and I photoshopped it into the full carpet, so we had it in high resolution. And I was inspired by an image, I think a South American artist who also did a rock with elements from the Big Lebowski. I thought it wasn't really that well executed, but it inspired me to use the ornaments and put in iconic images from the movie. So so I create this in Illustrator, which is a vector program. You draw lines and different, so it works well together with Photoshop. But this line art is not the best. You know, it's like I said, I'm not the best illustrator. But once you then you got to make it look like a rock, and you're gonna add noise to it so it looks like a rock, and then the vector art gets more blurred, so you give it a certain feel, so it doesn't feel that vector anymore, the sharpness. So there's different iterations on how we came to the end result of the cabinet. So we decided we want to show the edge all around the cabinet. Then this is an example of how I also used 3D elements to create art. So you place your original in the background of a 3D program. You start rotating, shifting, and scaling all the pins to create your final piece and integrate that. Put drop shadows on it so it really gives it depth. Another aspect here, we have the dude holding the ball, and as you can see, his arm had to be moved a bit so it actually fits in the frame. And you have to Photoshop out all the pins which are in front of him so it doesn't disturb the image that much. Originally, we had him holding a silver ball with his reflection of the dude reflecting in the ball. That was not approved because we found out Warner Brothers wanted to use only use the assets. They gave us a folder with a lot of images, and we could only use those images in our artwork, and we couldn't manipulate things like the pinball stuff. So we had some iterations. We first had hand-drawn backglass, which I'm not going to show because it wasn't approved. But that's when we found out, okay, we can't use illustrators. We can't use artistic renderings. You must use our assets. That's what they said. And I said, well, if we use your assets, it's going to look like this, original assets. So this is a sort of a sketch this is a sketch to show them real quick. This is what we want to do. This is the layout we were thinking of. And then they agreed, okay, this is quite tough. And we found a way to really brush up the images. Just by Photoshop, go over the images and make it look like a hand-drawn piece. So especially the mod image was really small in resolution. You have to make it big and make it look sharp. So that's how we found a nice way to make it look like pencil or painted art, but still the original assets. So here you see details of I went over everything. It's not just a simple filter you put over it. You have to draw actually all the strokes and feel like how would a painter brush these strokes. So, and then you gotta also match the lighting because every character is photographed in a different situation with different lights. So that was also tough to do. But that's your skill. That's your skill. You want to make it better. So for the play field, that would be my first play field. I started off, got something like that, and then I said to Barry, "No, I'm not. We want hand-drawn art, but like I said again, I'm not the best illustrator." I was I didn't know where to start, what to do. So Barry said, "I know an illustrator," and and that was just great. Freek did the whole play field. I arranged his. He would give me the piece. He had a nice layout, came up with a lot of good ideas, and I fine-tuned all the parts. He would give me all the layout files. Here it's 2 stages of that. That's how you start building up in this case, towards the top. And these are renderings made by Barry to see how it looks in perspective. There's also a 3D program to start visualizing your art. And then so we couldn't draw the characters and artistic drawings. So that's 5 images we had to use as an image. And then you still get remarks, "It's Photoshop art." Now for the Hobbit, it's the whole package, I call this, because I started off with the animations for the screen. And that's what I was doing for Jack animations. And the backglass in Jersey Jack games has become, the screen has become part of the backglass. So the screen has to be filled with art as well. So, but then Jack saw what I did on the Big Lebowski, and he said, "Well, maybe you could do our playfield as well." And that's what I did. So I had animations and the whole game to fill. And it's nice because you can actually grab stuff which you use on the screen and put it on playfield, so there's a real direct connection. You don't have to ask the artist of the playfield, "Can you give me this, can you give me that?" You all have it yourself and together. And with the Hobbit, we had tons of assets, and actually a lot of vector art available to us to use and to grab and to start combining, and then a lot of photographs which you can use. So with the playfield, same thing. You get an empty playfield with rules. Keith gives you rules, and when I started, there was a first iteration of the playfield, and I actually went off from that. So the mountain was there, and the beast, and the inlanes, and all the characters on the sides. Also, I photoshopped it on top of one of the whitewoods to see it in perspective, to visualize it for a team. And then you start adding stuff, adding the characters, and adding more to the background, filling in. And then you have your final playfield. So this is the playfield we showed at Expo last year. That was our playfield we were going to produce. And then when I saw the game actually build up first time at Expo, my reaction was it was very muted in colors. And we saw the reaction of the crowd, and Jack and the team decided, okay, we got to do this over, or not really over. We got to make it better, and we had some good input, especially taking the asset of the dragon into the center really added, made it totally look different. I saturated more the colors more, which was originally you use the assets from Warner Bros. And you don't want to touch their art too much. So all the first iteration with the blue tones, that is all directly from their art, and the movie is just really dimmed in colors. But Pinball has to be really bright colors. So this was the first test of what happens if we put the dragon in. And part of the story was that this asset of the smog was added later to the assets after we built our first Hobbit playfield. So it was, that is the end result. With plastics, so you got to do all the plastics as well, make it fit. There's a little Easter egg in there. And some of you might know it. I'm not going to tell it. You might find it out yourself. But that's fun stuff to do. And so that's the result of the Hobbit. Now the third project was Timeshock. Again, Dutch team who approached me if I could guide them in doing the art for Timeshock. The only thing available as art for this digital game by Pro Pinball was the back glass and the playfield. There is no cabinet art because it wasn't necessary in the digital game simulation. I'm a big fan of the game myself. I played it a lot in the evenings with my friend Bram. So this is the original back glass, which I wasn't really too happy about. So the theme of this pinball game is time travel, and they've got the dinosaur and the robots here on this side, which I wasn't really fond of. So it's and then the logo is really stuck on there as a piece. So for this case, we found the Dutch artist. I started looking online for somebody who could do art in the same sort of style in time travel and mystical worlds. And he did a sketch. We wanted to do combine the same four worlds. So we got the present in the top, the prehistoric, the future, and the Roman age. And we first had, this was the first sketch to visualize what he had in mind, and that's where the rest of the team didn't have the real experience on how to interpret a sketch like this. How is it going to look? How is this final? What are we going to see in the next step? And so, and Richard and I never met him. We had a real nice click, and he really understood what I was looking for. And we actually gave him the, oh no, that's later. So this is the next iteration, where he showed more of the of the idea. Next step. So we came up with this, so the Roman age added, and then I felt like, sorry. So this is the next step. Richard, we actually were able to give him the 3D models which are in the game, and he uses that to set the camera angle, and then he starts painting over the render of the 3D model. So the robot is actually the original robot as a toy, and the time travel machine as well. And in Photoshop, you can actually import a simple 3D file and rotate it as well. So you can, I said to Richard, maybe we have to let the time machine go the other way and just let it fly just as the dinosaur is trying to grab it, and he just missed and let it fly over what's that? Mount Rushmore, and then just let it fly over the Roman guy who's reacting to that. So this is the feedback I give to Richard. You got to do this and then that, and he blends it to the next iteration. And then my part, a bigger part, was to get the logo, pimp the logo a bit, and get it integrated into the backglass. I used the 3D program to create the logo, and I simulate the green light with an object to make the reflections in the logo, so it actually feels like it's in there. And you render it also with the background from Richard, so you get some reflections of the air in the sky and in the sides of the letters. And this is the final backglass. So, and the side art, we chose to do 2 worlds on one side, the other 2 worlds on the other side, and we could actually show more of the worlds. So we got to, this was his first sketch. We're going to place the time machine as an icon in the middle of the side art, and then we have Mount Rushmore. And we also wanted to integrate, so there's 2 video modes per time zone, so there's 8 video modes, and one of the modes is the volcano, and in the prehistoric you have the volcano and the dinosaur stampede or something like that. In the modern world you have the Mount Rushmore and the tunnel. We didn't use the tunnel, but so one of the modes is also a guy you have to climb up to Mount Rushmore, so we added, I actually took it off on the final one, but it's in the backglass, it's really tiny. You know, it's always nice to have backglasses where you discover things later and see, oh, they actually put that in. So this is the final piece for the left side, colored in. And we put the shards, the crystals in the worlds, because that's what you have to grab or take back and restore the world. And we got the time travel, and the dinosaurs sort of interacting with him. And this is typical Richard's style. He puts in also some stock, maybe 3D trees, and he really is good in putting it all together. And sorry. Sorry? I didn't ask him, we just did that. Good. The other side is the Roman age and the modern, the future, and we used the anti-matter plant, which you didn't use in the backglass. So, and we combined it. And Richard, this was a sketch, and I said maybe we have to. Well, the Roman, they're going the wrong direction. They're actually going anti-clockwise, and so here they're running clockwise. And then I said maybe we have to shift it and let them run the other side. Put in the Colosseum, some crowd in front to give it depth, and came up with this. And I also, for all the sides, I re-rendered the logo so with the different backgrounds to make it merge better. The sketch and the final for the back box. We also, Richard came up with the idea to actually show the time machine as during his time travel, because the other ones were in the worlds themselves. So this would be the time portal graphic. And then in front, we also Richard's idea was to have the actual start of the the explosion and the shattering of the shards into the different time zones. And I've placed the burst of the fireballs are placed on the launch button and the start button. So this is the final cabinet. So, and that's my presentation about those projects.
Thank you very much. Are there some questions, ladies and gentlemen? Vragen? Zijn daar vragen voor Jean-Paul? Niet? Nobody?
If you have any questions later, just ask me. It's all right. I'm very